Hi everybody, Tex-Mex here. Thanks for joining me for another video. Today we're going to take a look at the BuckMark Challenge. This isn't a challenge shoot, this is actually the BuckMark Challenge Model 22 pistol. I have a few different BuckMarks and I figured I'd start showing them off as far as taking them out and shooting some ammo through them with this particular model. Now in a previous video, if you've seen my other videos, I do a challenge shoot with this model, which is the, I thought it was the Target, but I think it's the Field. I bought it a long time ago, and you can sort of date it by the old red dot it has on there, and it is humongous, but it shoots well with it, so I hesitate to take it off, because you know how it is. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But that was just a challenge shoot, shooting some Elay ammo. This time I'm going to take it out, shoot a few different types of ammo through it. Some Standard Velocity mini mags, some Aguila, excuse me. Oh my God, I can't even pronounce it myself anymore. And some Norma Tech 22. But I wanted to, introduce BuckMarks and kind of go into the history of them just briefly. From checking my videos, it looks like most people probably fast forward during these times when I'm talking. And that's fine, but I just kind of enjoy going through the history of these firearms, and I'll try to go through it quickly because obviously nobody really wants to spend time listening to me yet. The predecessor to the BuckMark that was made by Brownings was the Challenger and Medalist series. And like the BuckMark, they were based on the high standard Smith & Wesson Model 41, but really more importantly, the granddaddy of them all, the Colt Woodsman. It's a simple 22 long rifle, semi-automatic blowback pistol. And I happen to have a Colt Woodsman here, so I'm going to show it real quickly just to show its similarity. Look, I even still have it in its original box. And look, this is the most amazing part. Look how much it cost, $100. This was purchased by my father in the late 70s. I was very, very, very young at that point, so he didn't buy it for me to start shooting, but he actually bought two of them so that we could have matching pistols. And mine, we really didn't take out of the box much because we just end up using his all the time. And at some point he got me a Colt Frontier Scouts, and I played cowboy with that on horseback, and when we'd work our cattle quite a bit. I was very lucky to get a pass-me-down gun belt that was really, really cool. Had the 22 long rifle bandoliers and fit that Colt great. So that's the one I ended up using. So this one didn't see much use because when I wanted to shoot semi-auto, I just grabbed my father's and shoot his. But you can see, look at the similarities here. In function and in style, they're just simple blowback designs. Single stack, straight 10-round magazines. One of the big differences is, and I actually prefer this, that the Browning has a magazine release here next to the trigger, and the Colt Woodsman has the more traditional release here on the bottom, where you actually have to pull that back to get the magazine out. But other than that, very similar pistols. You can see that the John Moses Browning, his designs are just kind of worked upon, and it's hard to say they're improved, but let's just say they're refined. And the Woodsman style pistol can now be found in the many, many, many versions of the BuckMark that are currently produced. Now, BuckMark started being produced in 1984. At that point, I can't tell you exactly how many models they had, but the one grip design they had was the UFX. This one here is a URX, and they also have a UDX. So that's just to complicate things a little bit. Other than that, almost everything else is exactly the same. This particular one, the Challenge model, the URX, it's the only one I own that's the URX, and it has these rosewood grips that are really, really pretty. If you take a look here, they have a very nice design on their cutout, and they do have them textured. This checkering really helps you grip it. And I got this one specifically because it was the lightest weight one I could find. It has this very thin tapered barrel and was perfect for, my daughter's smaller hands. So a nice thin grip, and it is a much thinner grip here than the UFX. Now let me see if I can show all three here. As I stated, I have this one here, which is the Field Target. And this one should be the original UFX, which is a very 1911 style grip panel. There's no finger grooves, and it's pretty straight in the back, just curves a little bit on the bottom. So, well, here, let's check everything to make sure it's unloaded. So, unloaded here. Put this one down. Check here. Unloaded. Put this one down here. And then there is the UDX, and here's a UDX version. This is the contour. Let's check it as well. Unloaded, nothing in the magazine. This one I got specifically to put a red dot on it, the more modern, I should say, RMRs, to practice with them to see if I liked shooting with that style or not. And you can see here very clearly it has finger grooves on the grip, and that's not just on this rubberized grip, it's actually on the grip panel. So let me get you all a better view here. So you can see here are the 3 different grip panels. This one being the narrowest and is not only narrower, but seems to be thinner as well. Although that may just be these particular Rosewood grips. The UFX, which is the more original design, it's a little wider. If you look at these two, the differences, you'll see that, I guess the URX, it curves a little bit more. And this one goes more straight, more 1911. And you can tell it's just thinner here than it is here. So this is a thinner grip. So for smaller hands or starting for younger shooters, this is definitely the way to go. And then we have the UDX. And the UDX has the finger grooves. And if you take these grips off, you'll see that the grooves are actually part of the grip panel. These can be very comfortable, and for some hands are great, but you know, as with any handgun, you got to check it yourself, see if it fits your hands well, because that'll really dictate how you're going to shoot the pistol and how comfortable it will feel in your hands. So let me set this camera down again. Now in this particular challenge model, you can see it has the TruGlo sights, which I like a lot. Didn't really like the aesthetics of them. I don't like how they look on pistols, but let me tell you, as my eyes have gotten weaker with age, having these sights really helps. It's got the TruGlo front sight. It's got I guess what's it called, the Pro Target, the marble arms Pro Target back here, rear adjustable target sight. And it makes it very easy to adjust point of impact for your particular shooting style. I don't really think I had to adjust this one much, and a lot of times just to adjust it to whatever ammunition you're using, because as everyone knows, different types of 22 will shoot very wildly differently out of different pistols. And this one, it only weighs 25 ounces, so it is relatively light. It's got a 5.5-inch barrel, which I think was the same as the fat-barreled Field that I showed, but you can tell this one is just so much thinner. The sight radius though is good. It's about 8 inches long, and like I said, it has these really pretty rosewood grips. Well, at this point I think I've already spent too much time talking, so let's go ahead, head out to the range, set up the targets, and see how well this little pistol shoots. Now here we are at the range with our BuckMark Challenge Rosewood. We're going to try a few different types of ammunition. The first one we're going to do, as usual, the old trusty CCI Standard Velocity. I've got my camera surrounded here, trying to keep wind off of it because it is sort of a breezy morning here. I apologize about that, but unfortunately I cannot control the weather. So let's see how well the BuckMark groups with Standard Velocity. Okay. Actually, I can see from here it's pretty decent group. And I guess for the information for the video, we're shooting at about 12 yards. Let me load up the next magazine, and while I do that, I want to sing the praises of these little, this is a Lula loader that you can put on the magazine. They have a few different types of these, but I like this one. You can put it on the magazine and push it down to load 22s in it. You know, these aren't difficult magazines to load, but when you're loading them all day long, having one of these to kind of help you, really worth the money. So just a little tip there from Tex-Mex. Let's load up CCI Target 40 grain. So next up, we've got the CCI Target, what's the Mini Mag Target 40 grain.
Let's see here, it's just a copper plated round nose at 1235 feet per second. So we're gonna put that on the target next to where we were shooting the standard velocity. I am gonna wait a second for the breeze to calm down because, as usual, it's getting kind of windy. Come on, wind, slow down. There we go. Okie doke. So next up, let's try some more CCI. This one's going to be the CCI Mini Mag, the Varmint. It's 36 grain at 1260 feet per second. Let's see how this BuckMark reacts to 36 grain ammo. Seems to be liking the 40 grain pretty well. So let's see. Okie doke. Now we're gonna move on from CCI and try some Aguila Super Extra. So next up for consideration, Aguila Super Extra 40 grain, the blue and yellow box, a very popular ammunition. Shoots very well in many of my 22s. Let's see how it does in the BuckMark. Okie doke. And our final competitor for this morning, Norma Tech, or Norma USA TAC 22, 40 grain, high performance target. So let's see what high performance means out of this BuckMark Challenge. Woo, high performance indeed. Okay. Well, it is kind of breezy out here, so I think for the wrap up, we're gonna head back inside. And here we are back from the range, taking a look at our targets. Now, the first thing I need to say is, I think, and I'll have to go back and look at the video, I haven't done it yet, but I'm almost certain I only fired 8 rounds with the CCI Standard Velocity, and there's a reason for that. I don't get to go out shooting as often as I'd like to. In my line of work, things have been very, very busy. We have a backlog from the pandemic that we're basically going to take probably another year to work through. So I haven't been able to escape the city and head out to the country to do shooting as much as I'd possibly like. So I end up having to film a few different shoots at the same time. And prior to shooting this video, I did the Beretta Cheetah video, and that had an 8-round magazine, and I had sort of started to separate ammunition in quantities to put into magazines, and I screwed up and only put 8 rounds in this one. So I apologize about that. That being said, I still think that the Standard Velocity is the winner. I mean, look at that tiny little group. They're almost one ragged hole, except for one that shot a little bit higher. 2 extra shots here, even if they went far, it'd still be hard to argue that most of them really centered here in one tiny little group. And once again, it's interesting to see how the point of impact changes for 22s. It didn't change as dramatically for this BuckMark as it did for the Beretta Cheetah, but you can still see this one's shooting just slightly north, maybe a little bit to the left. Then as we get to the mini mag, the 40 grain, still not bad. We tend to get 2 little groups here. I mean, if it was one of these groups alone, it'd be great. I still think it shot him well, just because even though this spread is a little bit further, basically from here to here, most of them are very tight. Most of the bullets hit very tight. But this hit about the same, a little high and some left to center, except for these that seem to be almost on target, except a little left to center. Then we have the CCI 36 grain. Now it shot these almost, as far as accuracy, it seemed to be hitting them more towards the center of the target, but the spread is further. You can see very few of the bullets are touching. I think there's about 4 here that create one line, and then you have the rest scattered out here. I mean, still not terrible. Most of them hit the red. It's just you can see on these, they tend to group up into tiny little tight groups. And this one, it's a little more spread out. Now on the Aguila 40 grain, same thing. It did tend to keep them in the center, dropped a few low. Didn't get as many in the red as the CCI, but you know, honestly, I always have to throw in shooter error. I mean, I'm a decent shot, I'd like to think, but there's gonna be differences in how I handle every single shot. And I don't think this is a progression where I shot great and then loosened up and then shot better again. I honestly think this is a pretty good demonstration of how these types of ammunition like this pistol, or vice versa, how this pistol likes these types of ammunition. But that being said, I'd probably have to fire 50 rounds of each if I wanted to really be certain. I mean, as it is with pretty much any of these, if I had them, I'd be happy, because most of them would hit pretty well. I think the one that did the worst is what we were talking about, the Aguila. I don't have calipers, so it's possible the 36 grain has a larger variance to it, but I mean, at least more of them seem to hit in the red, where here they kind of spread out a little bit more as far as up and down. And then finally the Norma, the TAC 22 in it, shot him really well, probably second best to the Standard Velocity. It seems like it got 7 of the rounds here in the red, very tight, maybe 3 of them down here. I mean, it's possible that's 6.4 and there's an extra round in there somewhere, but certainly, I mean, if I had a choice, I'd probably take the Norma or the CZ out of, the CCI SV out of this particular BuckMark, because we're going to try this test with the other ones as well. I can't promise I'll always have the exact same ammunition. I should have most of the same. I think the Aguila is the one I have the least amount of. But this was a fun shoot as always. A really great pistol. BuckMarks are wonderful. I know there's a passionate following for Rugers. Smith & Wesson has the Victory, I believe. And over the last decade, it seems that every manufacturer has made a 22 long rifle version that are basically copies of their larger frame 9mm type pistols, either to put suppressors on them or just as a method for practicing with a smaller caliber round, the handgun that you would be using defensively. I'm not sure which one I'll take next. Maybe next I'll do the Big Daddy of them all, which is the Hunter. Oh, this is a great one. And I looked for years before I was able to get my hands on one of these. And it's almost the polar opposite of the Challenge, because it is, oh boy, it's heavy and it's got a long, thick barrel. But anyway, thank you for watching. You guys are great. I appreciate all the support in the channel. This is just kind of a hobby. I love going out and shooting, and I just started videotaping them, throwing up on YouTube. But for all of you that enjoy and that comment, thank you so much. I always appreciate the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.